Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to continue talking about heredity and genetics. The last page we put in is this one here. So this next page should be right here, right next to it. First thing we're going to do is watch this video of what is inheritance. Unfortunately, I can't put it on my thing anymore. YouTube got mad at me. So let's stop here. Let me play the video and then we'll come back. Okay, we're back. So let's start with our notes. So the first thing I want to do is just a little bit of a review. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about levels of organization, and we talked about how when cells come together, cells are the smallest and most basic part of a living organism, but when they come together, they make tissues. Tissues come together and form organs. Organs come together and make organ systems, and those come together and make whole organisms. So when we were talking about this, cells were the smallest living thing. So we're going to go down a little smaller than cells, but I want you to realize that these other parts are not considered living things. Just like the organelles were not, these are not either. The cell is considered the smallest living thing. So let's watch this other movie to introduce this to you, and then we'll come back and continue with our notes. We're back. Alrighty, so here is another image that depicts what was in that video, and we're going to go through each one. But I want you to see how starting at the bottom, it's the smallest thing and it's going to go up to the largest thing. And in this case, the largest thing is a cell. When we talked about levels of organization before, the smallest thing was the cell and the largest was the organism. So if we could put these in front of where it says cell and kind of go backwards, and we would see everything would be smaller leading up to cell all the way to organism. So let's start with our first one is cell. And so we know that cells are the smallest unit of life. Cells are alive, and the smaller pieces, as I said, that are depicted here, they're not alive, but they are part of living cells. And just about every cell in your body has this genetic information. Some don't, like red blood cells. For the most part, all of your cells do contain genetic information. Cells, and we can see the little brown spot in the cell, that is the nucleus. So if we zoom in, we will see the nucleus, and we know that the nucleus, that's where the genetic material of the cell is held. These are all the instructions. When I'm talking about genetic material, I'm talking about the instruction it takes to make an organism. And this can be humans or worms, roses, oak trees, cows, etc. They all have genetic information that tells the cells, hey, you're going to be a intestinal cell in a worm, etc. If we zoom in from the nucleus, we will see what are called chromosomes. Chromosomes are rod-shaped, they're kind of long structures that are inside the nucleus, and they're made of DNA. And this DNA is wrapped up real tight. Imagine that you took a string and you wound it really small, tied into a tiny little ball. That's how chromosomes are. And they're usually found in this kind of X shape. So it's two long rods and they're connected, and it makes sort of this X shape. And you'll see those in several of the videos, and you probably noticed it in the one we already watched. The next step down is if we zoom into the chromosomes, we will see the DNA. So if you took that X-shaped chromosome and you pulled a little bit of a string, think of it like a sweater where you go pulling the string really long until you take that sweater apart. That's what DNA is. DNA is that long string that have that make up the chromosomes. And when scientists were finally able to figure it out, they pulled it out, and what they saw is that it was shaped like a twisted ladder. And what makes up DNA are all these little parts of instruction called genes. So the last or smallest part of our genetic information is called genes. It says genes are tiny little bits, and they can be tiny little bits or longer portions that all come together to make DNA. But a gene is one instruction for one part of you. So there's like one gene for the shape of your eyes. There's one gene for the size of your liver. There's another gene or set of instructions for how tall you're going to be. So yep, there is specific code for everything that makes you up. So again, a bunch of genes get together and they make DNA. In DNA is tightly wound up and it makes chromosomes. Chromosomes are then found in the nucleus of a cell, and that nucleus is found in the cells of your body. Alrighty, I'm going to probably give you some other images of these parts of the genetic material for you to be able to pick out any of these parts. So one way to remember the order of this, because you will be tested like that, is this little saying at the bottom, a mnemonic phrase that says, to be able to remember the order, remember, cows never chew dead grass. And if you take the first letter of each of those, it'll help you put these in order. Cows goes with cells, never goes with nucleus, chew goes with chromosome, D from dead goes with DNA, and the G from grass goes with genes. You will have to know the order, so remember that mnemonic phrase, cows never chew dead grass. Alrighty, we will continue tomorrow, still talking about genetic information, genetic material. Bye-bye.